Hi Bars. Hi Bars. I know it's been a long time coming, but I'm finally here with a new video. And as you guys can see, a new place. But before I get into all of that, let me go back, rewind to the last video that I made, which you guys can check out right over here. That was back in 2018. I believe it was Christmas, and we are coming up to the Burr months. It is currently September 2020. Today is September 10th, 2020, and it is what is today? Today's a Thursday. We're already starting this off to a weird and awkward start. It's been a long time. So forgive me. Last video I made was back in 2018, Christmas. Before Christmas, actually. It was me in Maui. After I came home from that trip, I decided that it was going to be best if I continued to better myself mentally, physically. So I still went back to the gym. I would still go work out. But New Year's came around, and I made it a point to really, stick it to me, and stick to myself, engraved it in my brain. To make 2020 my bitch, and I made 2020 my bitch. I kind of already knew going into 2019 that it was going to be the year of transition, the year of change, the year of everything. Because I don't know if I mentioned it back then, but I had always, probably didn't, but the start of 2019 brought me new opportunities and new insight into a lot of things going on. First and foremost, I moved back in with my parents. Well, I moved back in with my dad. He proposed to me that they would be moving up to Utah. And he would love if I moved in with them. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe this is what I needed. This is exactly what I needed mentally to kind of break the whole depression and anxiety thing that I was going through, which I still kind of go through today. It's just not as bad because 1, I've sought help, 2, I'm on medication, and 3, I have an amazing support group behind me, which I'll get into later. At the start of 2019, I decided to quit H&M. I left the company after working there for 5 years. I was sad, but at the same time I knew that it was going to be better for my mental health. So I officially quit after being out of work for what was almost 3 months. I quit, and I decided to go back to working at Starbucks. So I did get rehired at Starbucks in January 2019, 2 days after my birthday. That's when I started to notice my life take a change for the better. So fast forward to March of 2020. My family have finally made a decision that we were moving to Utah, and that it was going to be by the end of the school year. 1, because my brother and sister were going to graduate high school. March of 2020 came around, and my dad was like, hey, you know, since you have the time now, you're able to, why don't you request off for this week? So I requested off for a week in March, and my dad, my grandpa, and I all flew out to Utah to go and do some house shopping, because now it was time for us to start buckling down and getting to the nitty-gritty in moving, because this is something that we needed to do. I fell in love with Utah, and so I mentally prepared myself to permanently move out here, and then coronavirus hit. We get back home and we get news that, you know, this whole thing happened. States started going into lockdown. Starbucks was amazing in supporting us as partners in an effort to keep us afloat financially. They paid us to basically stay home and take care of ourselves. While there were certain stores operational, like the drive-through stores, because it would minimize the contact between partners and customers, they kept those drive-thrus open, 1, to keep the business afloat, and 2, to serve the community. So once we started to go into lockdown, which was like mid-March, I had decided that it was a good time to rejoin the dating scene, and I downloaded Tinder. Back then, you know, people would talk a lot about how Tinder's whatever. Tinder's just another one of those hookup apps or whatever. I started to find some really good prospects on Tinder, and you know, conversations were a little bit more higher than normal. I also had opted into paying for Tinder Gold, which was like $12 a month, which would allow me, honestly, the only thing that it would allow me was like unlimited swipes per day, and then I could change the location, so I could change where I was, and look at guys all around the world if I wanted to. I kind of did a little snooping in Utah to check to see what kind of guys were out there, and I was like not impressed. So I put my settings back to Hawaii, and maybe a couple days after I paid for Tinder Gold, I get a match, and so I'm swiping through it, and I finally come to one of these guys who matched, or who had swiped right on me, and when I swiped right, we matched. And it was kind of funny, not in the way that you think, but the entire time we were talking on Tinder, I thought he was local because he looked local. One of the pictures that he had in his profile had him with a t-shirt that was a local t-shirt, and I was like, oh, okay, well, you know, the prospects of meeting this guy in the near future, hoping that coronavirus dies out or whatever, is high. And so, you know, I talked, and our conversations were going super smooth. Then eventually it led up to us exchanging numbers. Maybe after the 5th day, we were like, you know what, let's give each other our numbers and let's talk there or whatever. So we exchanged numbers, and his number at the time was not a Hawaii number. I believe the area code that he had was back in Anchorage. So I kind of was like, okay, this is interesting. I texted him and I was like, hey, so you're not in Hawaii? He's like, no, I live in Alaska. And I was like, what the fuck? I logged back into Tinder that day, and I saw that Tinder was giving everybody access to Tinder Gold features, which included unlimited swipes and being able to set your location to various places around the world. And he happened to have his location set in Hawaii. And I was like, of all places, you're in Alaska and you want to come back to Hawaii. Like, why? And I was like, who the freak is this guy? Like, who is he? Like, why is he so good at talking? It just kept going and going and going, and soon enough, you know, we dug deep. We started to communicate a little bit more in depth about who we are, you know, our personalities, our likes or dislikes, our futures, you know, what we want to do as far as careers are concerned, and it was nice to finally talk to somebody, and to have that feeling of wanting to share certain things with this person, that we took a chance and we said, you know what, I like you, we like each other, and we decided to kind of make it a little bit more exclusive. And so we made it a little official after 2 weeks, which I know sounds pretty fast. Everything about this guy was just so right in the moment, and it continued on for a long time. Come April, we had talked about how, you know, I'm moving to Utah and he's in Alaska, and that my goal was to come and visit him, to see him, you know, like, let's make this a legit relationship, let's make this work, because I've never I've attempted to be in a long distance relationship with somebody I've never met, but it never worked out. And so I was like, you know what? After finding out that this kid used to live here in Hawaii, he grew up here, and he lives in Alaska. I'm moving to Utah. Once I get into Utah, things will be easier because my dad works for the airline. I don't really have to worry about traveling. I don't really have to worry about all those expenses. Let me take this chance and visit him in Alaska on my way to Utah. So, come April, we made it Facebook official that we were dating each other, and we had an outpouring support from everybody that we could ever think of. His dad, his mom, his uncles, his cousins, his aunties, my friends, my dad, my mom, my cousins, my aunties, my uncles, like everybody supported it. And at one point I was like, this is too good to be true. Like I can't believe I'm gonna do this. I can't believe he's allowing me to do this. I can't believe he's doing this. It was kind of like just one of those things where it was like, holy crap, like this is for real, this is actually happening. So after we made it official, it was kind of like, this is so real. Like, we started to get a little bit more intimate with things as far as conversing, to the point where it got to it where we would say something, but like deep down inside you're like, I want to tell you I love you so much, but we didn't want to because we're like, it's too soon. Yes, we're making it Facebook official that we're dating or whatever, but like to tell one another that we love each other, before even meeting each other, it was kind of like unheard of. It was not something that you would expect to say to somebody because you've never met them in person. You've only ever talked to each other on the phone, you FaceTime, you text, all this good stuff. I honestly, at one point, felt like I was going to end up on an episode of Catfish, but that's not the case. So, after making it Facebook official, from May through June, all I did was work. I was saving money. I was trying to, financially get myself set. I flew out of Honolulu on August 9th. One thing that hurt was leaving my mom. My mom means the world to me, and I'm gonna get emotional if I keep talking about it. That was probably the first hardest departure of 2020, was saying goodbye to my mom, my brother, and my nephew, because I don't know when the next time it is that I will physically get to see them, because I'm trying to acclimate myself to Utah. Okay, moving on. I get on the plane, and I'm flying from Honolulu to Seattle. I get into Seattle, and I called him, by the way. Let me back up a little bit. His name is Matthew. He's 25 years old. He's Samoan, and he is so handsome. Anyways, so I get into Seattle, and I call him, and I'm like, hey, there's an issue with my Buddy Pass because the flight that I had originally booked on my Buddy Pass was starting to fill up really fast, and there's 2 flights after this, but they're super, super late. Alaska, until August 10th, was going to allow passengers who flew into the state to do a quick test in the airport before leaving the airport. And that was an option if my test results didn't come in, but thankfully they did come in right as I landed. I turned that airplane mode off, and I checked the test results, and they were in. So I was stoked. I filled out the declaration form that I needed to fill out. I get to the checkpoint where they're checking, the paperwork and checking to make sure that you have your test results, checking to make sure that it's negative, and it went super smooth. I ran through the terminal, and when I tell you that at 1 o'clock in the morning, Alaska time, I was the craziest person in there. I looked crazy, but I looked good doing it because I was wearing my really nice outfit, I was wearing my nice hat, everything. My hair was up. I looked so good. Oh my god. I I was so overwhelmed with emotion that I kind of blacked out a little bit. Yeah. So we did our thing. We finally got into the car. We went to his house and everything. And I spent an amazing 6 days with him and his family out in Anchorage. And we went exploring all over the place. It was so much fun. It was so nice. And as our time came to a close, I started to really have like second guesses about whether or not I wanted to leave Alaska. Knowing that all of my stuff was on its way to Utah, I did not want to leave. I was like, this is who I want to be with. This is the man that I want to marry. And I was so happy, and to know that we've gone, what was that, 4 or 5 months from not knowing who we were, and finally meeting and getting to hold him. I didn't want to leave that. I did not want to have to be apart from him again. Anyways, let me finish this story. It's August 16th, and my flight leaves at midnight, which meant August 17th. We get into the car, and we drive to the airport, and he didn't say anything to me. We kind of were silent the entire time. It was me, him, his sister, and his brother-in-law. And we're just sitting, chilling. We go and get some food before I have to get onto the flight. And we go to this spot at the end of one of the runways. It's beautiful. It's a hill, overlooks the ocean, and you can see all of the planes taking off from this runway. It was beautiful. It was amazing. It was an aviation nerd's dream to be in that spot because of being so close to the runway and seeing all those planes take off. It was amazing. But that was kind of where we said like our final goodbyes. And then his sister and him walked me to the TSA checkpoint, and that's where I lost it. I'll put the TikTok up here that his sister made. But saying goodbye, well, it wasn't really goodbye, it was kind of like a see you later thing, you know? But saying those see you laters were probably the hardest thing that I've done the entire year, aside from saying goodbye to my mom. 2020 has been very emotional for me, and I'm sure it's been very emotional for everybody. But knowing that after 5 months, finally meeting each other and being separated from him has made our relationship stronger, which is weird to say because the whole not being with each other, or not being able to go and see each other tonight or tomorrow or the day after, it's not that easy, especially with me at work. It's made our relationship stronger, and I think it's going to continue to be that way. There's a lot that I have planned, and there's a lot going on, but I promise to do more videos. I know I've been slacking, and I know that it's something that I need to work on, but I have a little bit more space mentally. I have a little bit more space physically, and I have so many opportunities that lie in front of me that I am currently grasping them and pulling them in close. Can't wait to see what the rest of the year and next year has in store. like I said, have a lot of things that I have planned, so stay tuned. Follow me on all of my social media. It's all at Kupono Elmore. They're all going to be down there in that description box. And follow Matt. His social media is also going to be down in the description box. But guys, it's September 2020. The year's almost over. Yes, coronavirus has got us by the balls, but you do what you gotta do. Okay? Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys liked it, if you guys didn't, I don't care. Until next time, guys, bars, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.